It's time for a Drummer Nation. My guest today is Roy McCurdy. Roy first came to national prominence in 1960 as the drummer for the noted Art Farmer, Benny Golson Jazz Tet. He was a member of Cannonball Adderley's quintet from 1965 until Adderley's death in 1975. Roy has recorded with jazz legends Sonny Rollins, Wes Montgomery, Bud Powell, and Herbie Hancock. His musical drumming made him a favorite of singers like Ella Fitzgerald, Sarah Vaughan, Carmen McRae, Joe Williams, and Nancy Wilson. Roy is presently an adjunct professor in the Jazz Studies Department of the Thornton School of Music at USC in Los Angeles. The former Crescent Vanguard series are now widely available as part of the legendary Sabian HH models. HH cymbals are traditionally hand-hammered into shape and sound by Sabian craftsmen. Each cymbal receives between 2,000 and 4,000 hammer blows, resulting in increased musicality, tonal complexity, and unmatched sonic texture favored by drummers in the know for generations. Find out more about the Vanguard series and all other Sabian models at Sabian.com. Roy McCurdy, thank you for doing the show. How are you, my friend?
Oh, man, I'm fine. I'm just doing good. You know, having fun, still playing, doing my thing, teaching.
Well, we'll talk about all that stuff. I met you maybe 15 years ago when you were with Nancy Wilson. But let's go back before then, just briefly. Where are you from?
I'm from Rochester, New York.
Sorry, I'm turning this fan off. I forgot that. And you came up as a kid playing drums, or did that come later?
Yeah, I came up playing in Rochester. I started playing around 8 years old, taking lessons and things, and got my first drum set and fell in love, and I was gone from then on, you know.
Good teachers or mentors?
I had, you know, back then we had teachers that came to the house, you know, guys that were just, I don't know, they were drummers, local drummers that would come to the house and teach, or they also had music stores that had lessons and things in there. I used to go over there, and then later on, when I was in high school, I started studying with Bill Street at Eastman School of Music, you know, studying rudimental drumming and things like that. But by that time, I was already, you know, playing in little groups and things, you know.
So I imagine jazz was a big part of your background.
It was. We had a lot of music in the house, and my father and my sisters, they always had records and things going on. And then my father became kind of a promoter, so he used to bring a lot of groups in town, you know, and Duke Ellington, people like that, and for dances, they used to come and play dances and things. And he used to take me along to see, you know, for those things. And so, you know, I got to see a lot of the guys playing, a lot of the big name stars at that time play, and you know, that was a big influence on me.
Well, that's pretty much everybody comes up listening to the greats that came before them, if they're smart.
Yeah.
And who were your heroes then?
Well, you know, I was listening. I mean, as far as drummers are concerned.
Yeah.
I was listening to guys like Louis Bellson and you know, the guys that were playing with Duke Ellington, and the guys who were playing with Basie, old Joe Jones, people like that. And then later on, my heroes became like Shelley and Art Blakey and people like, you know, Philly Joe Jones, those kind of guys.
Now, were you studying that with the Eastman cat?
No, with him it was just rudimental drums. I was really involved in drum corps at that time too.
Say his name again. I'm sorry to give him short shrift.
His name was Bill Street.
Bill Street. I'm sorry to just call him the Eastman cat.
He was with the Eastman Orchestra. It was the Street Brothers, and they were percussionists with the Eastman Philharmonic back at that time, you know.
So the lessons were legit, and you were playing jazz drums on your own?
Yeah, I was playing jazz, learning jazz on my own. You know, we didn't have no schools and things to learn jazz, so we were just running, listening to records. Me and a friend of mine named Warren Greenlee, who played sax. So we listened to records every night, run back and try to play those things on the instrument, you know. And then got good enough to start playing with other people, you know, and playing with little groups and things.
Did you move to New York eventually?
Yeah, I did. You know, I didn't move to New York. I went into the service actually after high school. Played there for 3.5 years in the Air Force band. When I came out of there, I came
Well,
out of
that
there.
was better than getting your ass shot at, right?
That's right. That's right. We were lucky. We were in between the Korean and the Vietnam War, so we didn't have to do anything, you know.
Good time to serve, yeah.
Yeah. So when I came out of there in '59, I came back to Rochester and I started playing again with the local guys at a club called the Python, and then people like Ron Carter were there. Ron was going to Eastman School of Music. Chuck Mangione, Sal Nistico, all the guys, upstate New York guys. So we were playing, and finally the band became Chuck's band, and we recorded a couple of albums, and
Chuck.
went to Chuck Mangione.
That's what I thought. Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
So you were on that early stuff with Chuck?
Yeah, yeah. Some of the early albums.
I didn't realize that.
Most of the early albums with Chuck.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, yeah.
I had those albums. He was kind of well known among jazz circles before he started having hits.
Oh yeah, yeah. He had a reputation, you know, for being a really good jazz trumpet player. Dizzy loved him. I think Dizzy even gave him a horn and stuff like that. So it was really nice. We did a couple albums, and then Cannonball heard us, and he recorded us. He had this series called Cannonball Adderley Presents for Riverside, and he recorded us on that album, and we went to New York and then started playing a few places on the road, and we played the old 5-spot in New York. And while we were there, I was heard by Art Farmer came by to hear Chuck, and then later on I got a call when we got back home from Art saying, I want you to come join the Jazz Tet.
Well, that's the old 5-spot where the famous Monk and Coltrane recordings are from?
Exactly, yeah. So
oh, wow.
We got a chance to play that. And I was heard there by Art Farmer, and so I said, okay, man, he sent me the telegram saying, come and join the Jazz Tet. So I went down to New York, and...
now, that would have been with Nat, right?
No, this was Jazz Tet was Art Farmer, Benny Golson.
Oh, the Jazz Tet. I'm sorry. I was thinking of the Cannonball Adderley group. Okay. Yeah, that's a great band.
Yeah.
So which of those albums were you on?
Oh, there's so many we did for, I think it was MRC we did. There's a whole box set of them out right now. So you could probably find those. But I did a lot of things with the Jazz Tet. There's quite a few albums with them, yeah.
Highly recommended to our young viewers. The Jazz Tet was a great group from that period. Now, you did also work with Cannonball, mid-'60s?
Yeah. Well, that was... I started working with Cannon. I had come by... I was working... After the Jazz Tet, I was working with Sonny Rollins. And I went from the Jazz Tet to Sonny Rollins, and I was also working with Betty Carter and a lot of different people. At that time, Kenny Dorham, I was working with Kenny and people like that. But I went back home to try to straighten out some personal things. So I stopped playing for a few minutes in 1963. And then during that time, I got a call from Cannonball saying, listen, I need you to come down and join my group. You know, Lewis Hayes was leaving to go with Oscar Peterson at that time.
Whom you also played with.
A couple of concerts, but nothing really a long period of time. So
that was an interesting period in music. There was so much going on in the jazz vernacular then, but also you have some pop rock credentials as well, right?
Well, yes. During the time I was playing with Cannon, let me see, the 60, the last part of the 70s, he died in 75. So around in 75, 76, I was playing with also Kenny Rankin.
Oh, yeah. Great singer.
We had a great time together. We went on the road, did a lot of stuff together. During the time I was with Cannon and after Cannon passed. And then I also was with Blood, Sweat, and Tears.
Yeah. You toured with him and recorded with him?
Yes.
Now, you also worked with a lot of singers. I know you worked with Ella Fitzgerald, Sarah Vaughan, Carmen McRae, Joe Williams, Nancy Wilson. It's something to be a singer's drummer. Not that you're just a singer's drummer, but how does that different working for singers?
Well, I kind of got a reputation working since when I started working with Betty Carter, and she really loved me. So from then on, the word got around, and then Carmen called, and all the singers started calling. It was beautiful. I love playing with singers. you play basically the same way. We just keep it down and keep the intensity going, you know. And, you have to make a few changes, a lot of brush work, stuff like that.
Tipping, they used to call that, right?
There you go. There you go.
Tipping. What's tipping? Tell people.
Tipping, playing light and swinging your butt off,
I think of it as intense energy that doesn't get past your elbows, and the rest of it is is touch. The rest of it is touch. Any major changes to when you work for a pop or rock group? You have different sounding drums, right?
Different sounding drums. Oh yeah, man. I was playing like a regular jazz set with Cannon, and then my drums. Oh my God, I was with Rogers at that time, so my drum set changed from 2 toms to like 5. Big bass drum, everything, 1,000 cymbals.
Descending tom fills.
Yeah, exactly. So it was a big drum set.
So I think I know the answer to this question, but I'm going to ask it anyway. When you're going through disparate styles, you're playing with a jazz quintet, then you're playing with I know you did some big band work. You're playing with a pop singer, all different types of things.
Yeah.
How do you make that adjustment?
It's just experience. You listen, you hear what's going on with the different things. The big band, the small groups, you can swing hard, or you get a lot of intensity going. Singers, you kind of bring that intensity down, still swing. Big band, the time is more, less busy, but just better time. I mean, there's strong time for them. Rock, the same thing, just laying the time and keep it in the pocket. So I learned all those things, especially playing rock and playing funk things, because we did a lot of that stuff with Cannonball, a lot of that stuff. So when Blood, Sweat, and Tears called me, I said, Bobby, you think I should do this? And Bobby, I was talking about Bobby Colomby. Right. He said, yeah, come on, do this. And so I was basically pretty ready for that, and so we just fell right in.
Was Zawinul in the band with Cannonball?
Oh yeah, when I first joined, it was Joe Zawinul, Sam Jones, Nat and Cannon. Charles Lloyd was on the band, and myself.
So there's some funky stuff right there, man. That's a precursor of what was to come as well, especially with Zawinul.
Oh yeah. He during the end of his period with the band, he was writing a lot of stuff that he was going to be using with Weather Report. So he was kind of experimenting with his writing at the end of Cannon's thing to see what was going to happen, and it was really beautiful stuff.
And many people may not know he wrote "Mercy, Mercy, Mercy" too.
He did, and yeah, he did. He was a funky player and a wonderful acoustic jazz piano player.
So in the late 60s, there were some jazz drummers who were sort of put off by the whole rock-pop movement as it took the limelight away. And there were other drummers and musicians in the jazz field who embraced it. I take it you're part of the latter.
I was. I listened to everything, and I liked a lot of different things. I mean, I was listening to the Beatles and a lot of the Rolling Stones. I was listening to a lot of the rock guys, and because I wanted to be able to play everything. So and know what the feeling was for it. So and I utilized a lot of that in the playing with the jazz groups too, because we played a lot of funks. They played a lot of kind of boogaloo type funks back then, but I wanted to play it more straight, So yeah, I listened to it. I was one that kind of embraced it a little bit,
Yeah,
or I should say.
to your credit. Now, before we get to your teaching, you're still playing now, right?
I'm playing all the time. Yeah.
Well, good for you, man. You're my hero. I want you. It's fair to say you're not a spring chicken, and you're still out there kicking.
Oh, yeah. I'm playing with all these young guys. Now I'm starting to play with guys that I've taught in school and things. They're all calling me to play.
I used to work with an older guy who said, when I was a young man, my father told me I had to play with older players to get better. But what he didn't tell me was that when I was an old man, I had to play with younger players to get better.
But that's right, because it keeps your spirits together, and you don't play like an old person. You play like a young guy.
It's a different energy, isn't it?
Yeah, it's beautiful, and I love it. So, I could play 3 or 4 or 5 times a week, but I just take what I want to do, and plus teaching and stuff like that.
Well,
I just got a call yesterday. I'm going to there's a club out here called Catalina's, and I'm going to do that with Joey DeFrancesco. So we're going to do that.
Oh, I love
And
him. Yeah.
a lot of different people, you know.
I remember the old Catalina's. There was a new one maybe 10 years ago.
Yeah, yeah.
Great spot. So that led naturally into teaching. You teach at USC?
I teach at USC and also at Pasadena Conservatory of Music.
Now, there's a great program at USC. Who are the other teachers there?
Oh, well, the other drum teachers
drummers.
are Ndugu Chancellor.
Mm-hmm.
Peter Erskine is the drum chair there.
Mm-hmm.
Aaron Safley teaches Latin, and myself.
So if I'm a student there as a kid, is there a basic curriculum they all learn and then they specialize with each of the teachers, or how does that work?
Yeah, they get a chance. They get a chance to pick the teachers that they want to learn from. So they kind of pick one teacher for a semester, and then they'll go to another teacher for another semester, you know. And each of us teach different kind of things,
Mm-hmm.
and so they get a chance to go through everybody actually.
That's great, and what a lineup too of great mentors. Now they
Yeah.
also have an electronic music lab there, right, for electronic drumming.
They do. They have a lab with just a bunch of electronic drums up there where the guys can go and practice and teach. And Peter's involved in that, and I think also Ndugu's involved. Ndugu Chancellor's involved in that because it's more the funk thing.
Two great former Weather Report drummers. I
That-
always like to throw out the references for some of the young guys to bring them in. That's one of the reasons we do this, is to expose all the great drummers and industry people, educators, media guys, all that stuff. So what, you have a central teaching philosophy or core, or if I went to you, what would it be about?
Well, you know, I like to stress with the guys to have the basics together. You know, it's funny that a lot of guys are playing, but they don't have the basics together. So I'm talking about the fundamentals, you know, and make sure the rudimental things are good, because that's what's going to get you around the drums. And then I start showing them about swing, touch, you know, how to play brushes, all the different things that go along with playing jazz, big band stuff, reading, you know. It's all part of it. We play music for them to listen to so they can hear it, because sometimes it's funny, they don't listen to many things as you think they should be listening to, so we turn them on to different things to hear.
Mm-hmm.
But
I know it's a great program. Sorry to talk over you.
Yeah.
There's a question I ask all the educators, which is, it appears to many that the work scene isn't what it used to be, and all these kids are coming up through school, and we have to wonder, where are they going to work? How do you address that?
That's a hard question. We talk about that all the time, and there's not a lot of places. I always tell them, you know, try to be on the top of your game. That's what you're going to be able to play everything. That's going to be the way you're going to get all the calls, because not only are there a lot of people coming out of USC, but there's people coming out of schools all over the country.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, so. And there's, like you said, there's not a lot of clubs and things, especially in jazz things to play. So be able to play everything. So if you can't play jazz, be able to play other things, you know. So at least you'll be working and making some money, you know. But
well, I know
and I don't know how it's going to be solved, because there's just not a lot of work, a lot of places to work with. And there's more people coming out of school than there are places to work, you know.
Yeah, but I like to think the music is bigger than all of that. And we don't know what the opportunities are today or tomorrow, but the music will survive.
It's always thriving.
Always thriving. I know the Southern California scene is full of, peppered with, let's say, great young drummers who have come through that program there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's well, they've come through and then they move out, you know, and some of them are moving into New York, or some of them are staying around here. We have great drummers that have come here, they're in the program, that are from Europe, and they go right back to Europe too. So, there's a lot of,
Spread the message, as Art Blakey used to say.
That's right. That's right.
So what's going on now with you?
Right now with me, I'm just teaching, and today I have 2 o'clock. I have a gig, so I have to go out and do that. And I have some private students coming in on the rest of the week, and more jobs on the weekend to play. And just that's it, you know.
Living the life.
Yeah, just busy, and here in my studio and having fun, you know, playing music, practicing.
Well, you're one of my favorite drummers. You're a great inspiration to young players, and you have such an open mind and good attitude that it's no wonder you're still so in demand. This is a pretty short format show, so I always end by saying, well, you know, we do it that way so we can have you back and do another one sometime.
I love it.
Would you do that for me?
Of course.
All right.
I see all your stuff in the background there.
Well, this is my basement studio when I closed the company up. I like the video stuff. And I knew so many people in the industry in all facets that I thought maybe, you know, I could get some of these guys on record. Yeah. And we'll have their thoughts and wisdom and appearance for future generations. Because this video stuff, who knows, man? It's going to last forever.
Yeah, it's going to last forever. That's good. It's a beautiful thing you're doing. I love it.
Well, I'm enjoying it. Thank you so much for doing the show. And let's, I'll look you up next time I'm in Southern California.
Yes, yes.
I'm losing my earpiece.
We have a thing called the Drummers Luncheon, and a bunch of us go out, and me, Jeff, and Paul Kryback.
I know that well, with Bill Selditz.
Yeah, Bill, so you come on out and join us.
You're in that gang?
Yeah.
I have a standing invitation for that, but I'm never there. So one of these days I aspire to make that.
Yeah, that's fun. It's really funny. It'll crack you up.
Oh, I know. That gang together, I can only imagine.
Oh.
All right. Well, next time you're there, give them my hellos, and
I will.
Keep the faith, brother. It's great talking to you, and great to see you again.
You too.
And thanks for doing the show. We'll talk soon. All right.
Please, my pleasure.
Mine too. This is your host, Michael Vosspine, and I want to thank our friends at Atlanta Pro Percussion, Danette Classic Drums, Sabian Cymbals, and Classic Drummer Magazine.